We need to line up another guest.
Man, we don't need no guests. Hey, what's up, folks? We live. And he talking about we need another guest.
I don't get no like, hey, we about to go live or not that.
No. So tonight we are talking about school support staff. We'll see you on the other side. So what's up, bro? So talk to me, man. When you hear the terminology support staff, right? Set this up. What falls into those categories for you?
For me, support staff is pretty much anyone I look at outside that teacher that's supporting the instruction. So that could be the paraprofessional in the classroom. That could be my counseling staff, my office staff, for my administrative assistants, cafeteria workers, anybody that's supporting the instruction that's happening in the building is how I classify instruct or the support team within the building. I know some people try to differentiate between classified and certified, but that's the way I define it. Like I said, the support staff is those people that are supporting um, the role of the teacher to make sure kids are getting what they need instruction wise.
Yeah, man. I take it one step further. I look at it more so like the wheels on the bus, right? And so, I feel like the support staff are the wheels of the bus. And so you can't get to where you need to get unless you got a support staff that are those wheels that's taking you where you want to go, right? And so, shout out to all support staff workers in schools. These schools cannot run without you, right? So I kind of want to go through and kind of just name folks, right? So like first, I'm gonna start with the custodial staff, right? And so how are you managing your custodians?
So our custodial staff is we outsource. So we outsource with Sodexo. But even though, like I said, they aren't on our payroll, we do have a team that works at my building, headed up by our head custodian, Mr. Titwell, who is our head custodian. Who just actually got the head custodian job over the summer.
Shout out
And
to him.
and the big thing that I try to, he was one of our night custodians, and we kind of, he had some change in management. So,
Mhm.
being able to put him in there. But the thing about it, I mean, it's crazy how we are talking about leadership from a, school leader standpoint, things like that there. But just the change with leadership and him being the head custodian, just the way our building looks and
Mhm.
function. I mean, the work they put in over the summer, I mean, was immaculate. Coming back, every floor is done. They move classrooms around, doing everything like that there. So just any, he just simplified the leadership that we want everybody in our building to have in that process. And then we have, our midday custodians and our night custodians who, do the after school work and things like that. But the thing I love about our custodial staff now, the team that we got now, I mean, anything we ask them to do, they're there for, whether it be setting up the gym for a night activity. Tonight we had our signs of suicide parent night, talk about the signs of suicide thing, work that we're gonna be doing with our students next week. So they're like, hey, what do you need us to get set up? What do you need us to tear down afterwards? Things like that. So they're always willing to go above and beyond just cleaning the building, but really helping out wherever they can, even when they're not busy. I'll see them out, on the campus grounds picking up paper and stuff like that there, where previous crews and teams didn't have that there. But it starts with the top, and even no matter if that's the custodial staff, me as the principal, cafeteria staff, it starts with that head person running things and how that trickles down to the rest of their team.
Yeah, man. I want to shout out Mr. Jeff and Mr. Mike, our wonderful custodians at the Riverhead Charter School. They do a phenomenal job in terms of making sure that the lunches get to where they need to get, and that our kids are they. I feel like the best of things that I've seen from a custodial staff is when they implement themselves as a part of the instructional team. Like I had folks like listen. it was a time when everybody was all hands on deck when we did guided reading. Our custodians had guided reading groups, right? And so that's how bought in they were in terms of like the work that we were doing and whatnot. So like shout out to every custodial staff person that is invested in the school community. We appreciate you. We see you. And this is the show that we're giving that acknowledgement, right? So moving from the custodial staff, let's take it straight to the school secretaries, the school everythings, we're going to call them, the school everythings. And the reason why I say that is because, man, the school secretaries are the face of the school, right? And so immediately when a parent comes into the school, the first person that they interact with, the first person that they engage with is your school secretary. So if your school secretary is not putting on the right faces and doing the right things in terms of exhibiting the right temperament for parents, that can be an immediate turnoff for parents, right? And so how are you because I'm sure you've had to coach up a school secretary or two. How are you approaching that in terms of them understanding their importance?
Well, I want to first piggyback on the importance of those secretaries. I'm a firm believer that the custodial staff and the secretary, those are two most important roles in the building, especially when it comes to your community and the face. Not only are they the face of the school, they're the voice of the school, because when somebody call in, that's usually the first person they speak to in that process. And for me, it all starts with how do you give that customer service to parents and students from the moment they walk through the door, whether they answer the phone. It's always having that smile in your voice is the thing that I always tell my secretarial staff is I want to make sure you always have that smile in your voice when you're answering the phone and talking to parents. A lot of times that parent is going to be upset. How do you diffuse the situation? And a lot of times you ain't got to come up with a solution. A lot of times they just want to be heard and then say, hey, let me contact the administrator, get back with you. Never leave a parent on hold for an extended period of time. That's one thing that I, really stress to my people.
So what is that period of time that let's get down to business, man. We here, man. And now I got my frat brother here, so my energy just turned up on 25 now.
Here we go.
I'm about to go recruit me a Sigma to the show.
So what is the amount of time that someone should be on hold, right? Because like I got a parent, I'm thinking about him, Chino, and every time he's on hold for more than 15 seconds, he's blowing my phone up. So they got me on hold. But meanwhile, he got me on the other line while they got him on hold.
And my thing is, I mean, it depends on the situation. Like for example, if they're trying to get a hold of to administrator for a parent, I tell my secretaries, hey, if a parent wants to talk to an administrator, the best thing to do is take a message. Hey, the administrator is going to call you back, because there's no telling what that administrator is doing in that process. So it's better to say, hey, let me take a message and let them give you a call back. If you're just trying to talk to, the other secretary, if it's the attendance secretary talking to the council secretary, after about 20, 30 seconds, you might want to get back on, hey, I'm still trying to get an answer for you. I'll be right back. But if you got parents that are sitting there for 2-3 minutes on hold and you ain't, reconnecting them, at that point, hey, let me get a number and call you back. Don't just leave parents on hold for, 45 seconds to a minute. It's best to give them a call back. Even if it's only 2 minutes later, you call them back. It's all about valuing people's time.
Yeah, no, you make a really good point in terms of like making sure that you value people's time. And our parents let you know if you're not valuing their time. Ball, jump in here, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. I think that time is crucial. You don't want to have someone waiting on the line too long. Just like Doc said, like take that message and don't even hesitate to say, "Hey, Mr. Ball, we'll get back to you as soon as possible." And even sometimes, if you're not able to return that call, I think send an email. Depending on what you've got going on at that time, you might not be able to get to them that day, but just acknowledging the fact that you got the message can be, can be crucial to saving that relationship if it's something going down that's pretty serious to the family.
Yeah. Hey, before we move on any more of this show, we gotta sit and boy, I'm glad you're here, man, because you're in California, and I saw something coming out of Fresno with a principal who mushed a special education student. I don't have the video footage. I wouldn't play it anyway, but like mushed him to the ground, right? and the adults around, like you had to see the commentary or like the facial expressions of the adults around. Like they looked like it was normalized behavior, right? Like this is something that happens all the time. And so therefore I'm not even going to really give you a reaction because like this is normal, right? That's what I got from the video. And then the next day, allegedly, because he stepped down and then got a vice principal's position in the district, right? So he didn't lose his job. He ended up getting I want to know, man, y'all are principals, man. How do these principals get away with this stuff? And I know that there's a code, we all live by a code, but like how you assault a kid and then you still stay in your job? Like I'm trying to understand.
That's wild. I mean, there's no.
I'm gonna give you one word. It's called tenure.
Tenure, yes.
But as an administrator, though,
yeah,
there's some places that offer tenure to administrators. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you in California, boy. I mean, I don't know what the state laws are there. I know in Missouri, administrators can't get tenure as an administrator. But however, if you've had tenure in that district as a teacher before you became administrator, you fall back into that teacher tenure, so you can't go back into the classroom as a teacher, but you don't have tenure as an administrator.
Yeah.
Right. There's no place for that. Like you can't put your hands on a kid and then just go back to I'm curious about that whole normalizing in that environment. Not to say that I haven't seen it, but you need to lose your job.
I would lose if I saw something like that, and I wouldn't be the person that somebody could do that around. I would lose my job. I would end up being the bad guy because I'm like, yo, I can't believe Ankle went off on this guy like that. They would forget all about the fact that he put his hand on it. And they would forget all about the fact that he put his hand on it.
It's gonna be a news story.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's my question. Would you put hands? So if you saw an adult do that to a student, would you intervene physically if you had to? If you saw that?
100%.
Yeah, I feel like I would have to intervene.
Not even if I had to. I would want to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you have to want to for that, man. These babies mean everything, man. And so, listen, I'm all about controlling the controllables, right? And so therefore I control the things that I control. Those things that are outside of my control, I prey on them, right? And so when these kids are in my presence for 9.5 hours a day, that's inside of my controllable, right? And so therefore it is my job in order to do everything that I can in order to ensure their safety, right? Even if it means me putting my safety on the line for them. And so there's no Hippocratic oath as an educator, but those that are in this for the right reasons will go all out for their kids. It's no second guessing that.
But then we talk about a situation like this. I know I've seen it on social media. I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but where the kid had the jacket on, and the security guard was trying to get the jacket off the kid, and he had his knee on him, trying to pull the jacket off him, and everybody just standing around watching. Like,
no, we never talked about that.
I can go back. It was like back in the spring. Like the kid had a jacket on, and I remember the security guard dude had the kid like on the ground with his knee on him, trying to take the jacket off the kid. And the kid like, dude, get off me. Like, man, like I'm not taking my jacket off. Get off me. And I'm like, is it that deep over a jacket? Like, really?
Bro, we gotta. So and ball jump in here, man. I feel like we gotta pick our battles, man. You gotta pick your spots with these kids, and not every spot could be your spot.
Absolutely. There's so many different things that our kids are coming to school with that we as adults take issue with. Like some people take stuff personally, and it's like, dude, it's not about you.
You know what? People are like, well, what do we need to do in order to solve the problems that exist in education, right? And I got two things that we could do immediately. Well, actually, 3 things that we could do immediately, right? One, turn that ego into a we-go, right? Meaning that your ego is no longer about you, but it's about us, right? We. The second thing is keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. Like, these, even if they are your kids, like, I've shifted since I've had children. I've shifted away from how I was raised, right? So, like, I was raised spare the rod, yeah,
spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah, and so that's how I was raised. So, like, I know that life, right? I know the life of going to pick my own switch and then bringing it back You know, I know that
A
life,
switch,
right?
man. I wish I would have got a switch. We was getting whooped with extension cords.
Oh wow.
Like my mama probably
Oh,
should have
wow.
went to jail a couple times.
Wow. So I know that life, right? And so me knowing that life, it's like I'm not gonna put my kids through that because every parent wants better for their child, right? And so like sometimes it means that you kind of go through the things that you went through, and you're like, yo, nah, I'm never gonna put my kid through that, right? You know better, you do better, as my mom always says.
Right.
She's always doing better.
I think part of the issue, like with that, I don't know, the context of the principal thing. I mean, putting his hands on no matter what. But even like in my building, I think a lot of times when kids are not following expectations like that, we judge kids through adult, mindsets. Like, not,
Yes.
I mean, I keep trying to tell my teachers, like, we're dealing with 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. Like, think of you when you were a 10, 11, 12-year-old. Like, and I think so hard. I was, hey, what was I just had somebody just said? I think it was our superintendent who made this comment and saying, once you learn something, you can't think of a time when you didn't know that information. So as adults, it's hard for us sometimes to remember a time when we acted like we were 10, 11, 12-year-olds. So, but quit judging kids with adult expectations. I'm pretty sure that's why, I'm not pretty sure, but I'm almost certain that's why, that principal put his hands on a kid or mushing a kid, like, special ed or not, like, you're judging them based on your 30, 40, 50-year-old mindset when, you're talking about teenagers.
Yeah, and oftentimes I don't like how certain people I don't like how bodies are policed, right? I don't like how this mindset of what respect should look like to certain folks, right? Because like sometimes, when you look at how folks look at respect, it kind of dates back to like some white supremacy concepts in terms of like, how you should be looking at a person, right? And I'm not necessarily with that, but I think, and so then there's that push for like the need for more Black and brown educators, because if you got more Black and brown educators, it's more of this protectionist kind of thing, unless you have some assimilation that's happening, right? Because if you have assimilation that's happening, then it's just like, all right, well, I aspire to be like others that because I'm not comfortable with myself, then you're not really protecting kids anyway, right? So that's a different conversation.
And like you said, that authority figure, I think, like you said, it dates back, and most people, especially teachers, where I want kids to respect me or whatever. It's that authority subordinate type of mindset. Like that's not what respect is. Like, I don't have to be subordinate to you to respect you. Like, we all respect each other on this call. Ain't nobody subordinate to anybody. We all carry the same weight in the conversation in the room. So I think that's part of the misconception is with sometimes people in education is when they're talking to kids, the fact when they say respect, it means you need to respect my authority and do as I say. And sometimes I say, yeah, you want kids to do as you say, but not as you do.
Yeah. So, hey, Paul, jump in here, man. You West Point. What is what's the difference between respect and subordination, man? What's happening?
I think it's really interesting because the school environment is a lot different than the military environment. I think within the military, it's got its own culture. It's got its own kind of expectations. And sometimes, and being outside of it for so long at this point, like just looking, wow, like we really treat other people like that. We really force folks that are subordinate, because I was an officer, and an officer is, ranked higher than anyone that's enlisted. And the lifestyle of an officer is way different than someone that is enlisted. When enlisted folks, they do the majority of the work. And just like seeing that class difference, if you will, is it falls into that type of environment system that we don't want in education. When you talk about respect, I had a conversation with my supervisor yesterday and carried it on with my admin team and some other folks at campus today. But like, what does respect mean? That can be a loaded word, because just like you said, Doc, like you think about subordination, but like really what it comes down to is like we got to see our students and everybody as human beings. If we don't have that foundation of like, I respect you, like I see you as a person, I hear you, I want to understand your experiences, like that's the baseline that we come into our lives as educators. Is like, I see you as a human, and I'm going to do what's best. I'm going to find out what it is that you need, and I'm going to do my best to help fulfill those needs in the capacity that I have. So, we got to see our kids as human beings that have value, and just their presence. Like I respect love you just because you are here in front of me, and that's my charge.
Yeah. So speaking of charge, man, what's your take on that, man? Because me, I know your kids love you, man. I know you love them. How do you start to build those relationships? And then we'll jump back into support staff, starting with the security guards.
So for me, I mean, it's really just having a conversation with a kid. How was your day? Getting to know a kid, what they're into, and then remembering those conversations. So when you have that follow-up conversation, you can bring up things that they told you before. Because the biggest thing for a student, is they want to be seen. They want to be seen. They want to make sure that their words are being valued. I just had a conversation that I thought wasn't. I fear it wasn't a big major conversation. It was a relationship building conversation with the young lady. And then I talked to her mom on the phone today, just kind of following up about some other things. And she was like, Dr. Smith, my daughter came home and she ran through the door, was like, guess what Dr. Smith told me? He told me he was so proud of me. And she was like, she just had this joy with those, those few words that I share with this young lady who has shown a lot of progress as a 7th grader, just in the beginning of the school year, something that I thought I won't say was meaningless, but didn't mean so much, meant the world to her. So that's my biggest thing, just having those small conversations, making time for kids, making sure kids feel seen, giving them that undivided attention when you are having a conversation with them. You aren't on your phone or you aren't trying to be on your radio, like really just walking down the hall with a kid on their way to class. Hey, where you heading to? Let me walk with you. And just building those relationships in those one-on-one small conversations. And over time, you kind of develop that relationship, going to extracurricular activities. Last night, we had our first football game, being at the game and the kids excited just because you're there, going to volleyball games, just being seen and being present a lot of times, means the world to these kids because, needless to say, they probably don't always get that outside the building.
Bro, it's funny you should mention that, right? Because yesterday we had our first, shout out Riverhead Charter School, man. Hey, they on my mind tonight. So yesterday was an action-packed day for us. We had our first ever JV soccer game, right? So we lost, but it was cool though, because they scored 1 goal and I was able to capture it, man. And to see the excitement of those kids being able to compete, because previously we had lost a lot of kids because we didn't have high stakes athletics, right? And so because we didn't have it, kids was like, hey, I'm going back to the district. But now that we have it, man, it's super exciting to see those kids out there. We got a modified game tomorrow, soccer game tomorrow, and I see the talent level from how is, and if you harness that talent, it's I see some state championships, man. And listen,
we know how you feel as a state champion as a principal. Them state championship as a principal.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. A state championship as a principal, that might feel better than a state championship as when you played. It might be right up there, man. It might be right up there, man. So how are these security guards, man? How you want these security guards to act in school with kids? First of all, let me just put this out there, right? I don't think I could ever work in a school with security guards. I feel like it just would remind me too much of being in prison, and it wouldn't feel like a school to me, right? Mm-hmm. So shout out to folks that work in schools with security guards. I understand that sometimes there's that need. But for me, I don't feel like I could do it. Smitty, what about you, man? What's your thoughts? Security.
So we have an SRO, Officer Romero. Shout out to Officer Romero. She is actually a sworn police officer for the Grandview Police Department, and she's been our SRO ever since I've been here for all 4 years. We also share her with the high school, so she's here, a couple days a week for a couple hours, and she's really just kind of a liaison. When she does interact with our kids, it's always in a positive manner. We have a very strict policy on what she is to do and what she isn't to do when it comes to breaking up fights and things like that. It's always an administrator. We never have her involved in the disciplinary actions that go on in the building. It's really just kind of that community building aspect. That's what we use her for, unless, we have some kind of criminal thing going on, or a irate parent like that. But I would say probably since I've been here, 99.9% of the interactions she's had, with administration or with students has always been from a positive standpoint, not from a negative standpoint. A lot of times she's just really in her office, she'll come out and do lunch duty kind of just to talk with the kids. And like I said, be that face and kind of build up those positive relationships between the police department and the community. But we rarely ever involve her in any kind of disciplinary matters in the building.
Yeah, that's what's up. Bo, what about you, man?
Yeah, so we have a school resource officer. Shout out to Corporal Bacamonte, and very similar to what Doc said. It's she is on campus as a mentor, and so we have two high schools in our city, in our part of the district, and each of the high schools has a school resource officer, and they love building relationships with the kids. I think it's invaluable to have that connection, and we have we've got 3 different cities that make up our school district, and so each city has a good relationship with the police department, and they come in, they educate. We have an explorers program where basically we get students to come be a part of that program, and they learn what it is to be, a police officer. They get, I think it's a 12-week program that they go through, where they're working with and they're shadowing with the police department. But then also from that support staff role, we have 4 campus monitors. They are community members for the most part. They come in, they are part of our school team, and they're on campus throughout the day, and they're really community builders. They do different things here on campus, connect with the students, help us when it comes to discipline and things like that. They go grab kids, they build relationship with kids, and when I say grab, I mean escort them in different places, put their hands on them, excuse me for my language, but they're another form of support on campus, and they just they just are another set of adult eyes, making sure that everybody's safe and that everyone's doing the right thing. And I think for the most part, I think it is really important. Again, another conversation I was having is like, how are kids received on campus? Do they know that when they see one of our campus monitors, administrator, like, is it going to be a sideways type of conversation, or is it going to be like, hey, how are you doing? Are you approaching them with a smile on the face, or are you, fired up and ready to get at them?
I got a follow-up conversation or question for you, boss. So you said there's 2 high schools in your district. When is the football game between y'all 2 high schools? That's what I want to know.
Actually,
what's that rivalry like?
So we actually have four schools in the district. So the north side is a different town, different city, and then us 2 in the south side are different city. The other one on the south side, they're not at our level. Sorry, Dory Valley. They're not at our level athletically. So we have within our league, we're on the top half of the league. They're on the bottom half of the league. So we don't play. But so we play the 2 schools that are up north. So the 3 of us are, we've got the better athletic programs.
Okay.
So we don't play.
Hey, so you inherited that program, right?
I inherited that program.
Yeah. Hey,
ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Because he could have went to the school that was on the bottom half.
and the funny thing is, I started out as an assistant principal there, so I was there.
You saw Gruden when he inherited the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he won a chip.
He won a championship. Hey,
and then
it can happen. It can happen.
But then we got them emails.
right. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that here.
All right, no emails. So all right, so we touched on security guards. So what about the school counselors? Like, how important is that for the school? And do you involve, because you came in late? Do you look at school counselors as support staff?
I think so. I mean, all of our counselors were teachers at some point, so they have that lens when it comes to supporting students. But they're definitely support staff. I think they are a group that we rely on in order to support our students. When it's questions about their courses, when it's questions about their pathway to graduation, our counselors are vital to that, and those social emotional needs as well. Our counselors are crucial in making sure that our students feel safe. They advocate for students. They are colleagues with our classroom teachers, and they work with our classroom teachers in order to make sure that our students have some of the supports that they need.
Yeah, that's dope. And so, and Smitty, you ain't get to talk about this, man. Talk about the value of your counselors.
I mean, when you talked about earlier how that support staff being those wheels on the bus, like I think when that comes to that some social emotional aspect of what we are dealing with students and right now, that's a huge major thing. Like those counselors are, those Goodyear tires on the bus that's making sure we get from point A to point B. They are the ones who are, doing our referrals. We are blessed to have Cornerstones of Care and Rediscovering Our Building, who are actual therapists, and family navigators who we can basically refer our kids to. And they are the counselors for us, are the gatekeepers to those resources. They are the ones that are going in and really helping with social emotional lessons through our second step curriculum, guiding that work. So those counselors, when it comes to the social emotional work that we're trying to do with students, which is very vital right now, like I said, they are those wheels on that bus that's making that thing go down the road. So I want to shout out my two counselors, Mr. Stevens and Ms. Avery, especially Ms. Avery, because Ms. Avery does everything. She's a counselor, but you ask Ms. Avery to do anything, she's going to be right there to do it. We were having construction done this summer, and my office had to be packed up. I'm like, Ms. Avery, I need my office packed up. I came back to work the next day. My entire office is packed up. Everything's in totes labeled and everything like that. So shout out to Ms. Avery, who's also known as a school store for staff, because she always got good snacks in her office. So
man, the way you take it, the way you take care of your staff, man, it's like you trying to get them all to be food truck. Man, hey, look, I ain't even gonna talk about all the stuff you do.
Please don't.
Hey, hold on, real quick though. So, we had First Friday a couple weeks ago. We had a tailgate at the high school. Mind you, we went to the high school through a tailgate from the middle school and brought the whole community out. Was getting shout outs and everything like that. So the next home game was last week. We go to them like, hold on, we thought y'all gonna have a tailgate again. So GMS, we bring the people out. We bring the people out in Grandview.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I'm super proud of the work that you guys are doing in your schools, respectively. So other school staff that we didn't mention.
Hey, how we not gonna hit? Yes, we got hit on the cafeteria workers. Come on, man. Like we
definitely 100%
on the cafeteria workers.
So quick story, right? I feel like every school that I went to growing up, I was blessed. Right, because like I had cafeteria workers that had their fingers on the pulse, right, and so they were able to identify kids that may not have been eligible for free lunch, but that needed it, right, and so when you made the connection with them, bro, they took care of you, right, like they took care of you in ways that I can't even imagine. Right, because like I feel like every cafeteria worker that I had the utmost respect for them, based off of their ability to see my need, all the way up until college, man. Like in college, Dutch Quad, shout out UAlbany, Miss Doris. I used to come in, I used to be like, Miss Doris, I ain't got no meal plan. She's like, I ain't asked you for no meal card.
What's up? That's what's up.
Man, hey, and it was amazing, bro. I feel like she took care of all of the black and brown folks that came through, treated us good. Dutch Quad made sure we were able to get meals at college and stuff, man. It was just amazing because like if you don't have no meal plan in college, it could be rough.
Gonna be hungry.
Yes, it could be rough. Yeah, you better bring that Tupperware. Hey, yeah, man, I had Tupperware. We had wing night, man. I was good for the weekend.
Load it up.
It's so much food waste happening. So again, what's going on with y'all's cafeteria workers, man? Smitty, starting with you.
So my Miss Wendy, my cafeteria manager, and once again, like I talked about with Mr. Tidwell, our head custodian, it starts with that person that's leading that team. Miss Wendy is our cafeteria manager. She has a crew of about 4 people that run our cafeteria. Couple things that Miss Wendy did that kind of really elevated, the work that we do at our school. So last year, as we were coming back, kids were coming back into the building full time. We have some kids who have an issue with getting to school on time. So they may be 5-10 minutes late getting to school, or a bus may be late, and breakfast will be over at 8:10. Once first hour started, breakfast will be over. And Ms. Wendy came to me and was like, Dr. Will, we got, some kids who consistently are coming late, I don't think they should be penalized by not eating breakfast. So she started the second chance breakfast program. So after first hour, in between first and second hour, any kid that was late, or maybe you had one breakfast but you still are hungry, you can come back before second hour and get a second breakfast. So we started our second chance breakfast program last year. Really just, like I said, to make sure kids are, being fed and kind of getting their basic needs met, as they're going to class and things like that. So that was something that I loved about, Miss Wendy, that she's always looking for how can she make sure she's doing what she can to support kids in the classroom. And then really big shout out to Miss Wendy, because Miss Wendy is our cafeteria manager during the day. And then when she's done at 2, she comes back at 3:30 and is one of our night custodians, making sure the building is ready to go for the next day. So Miss Wendy is definitely, one of the MVPs here at GMS.
Bro, just tonight, right? Just tonight, I'm walking through getting my daughter out of aftercare, and so as I'm walking through, I'm like, man, we got parents coming in here tonight, and like the hallways not like spick and span, and like the gym is kind of off. There's like some papers brought around. Man, I went and grabbed that broom so fast, man, because I know that if my custodial staff was there, then they would have taken care of it. It wouldn't have been no problem, right? And so for me to then be upset, like, oh, why isn't this done? Like, nah, you got to be hands-on. If you're a school leader, you got to be hands-on, man. You can't be waiting for nobody to clean your room. Listen, when I was in the classroom, bro, my kids, they knew. My kids had their tasks assigned to them, right? Because when the custodian came to my classroom, he was like, "Hey, Mom, never got to do nothing in your classroom." I was like, you know why? Because when I really need you to do something in my classroom, you ain't gonna tell me you ain't gonna not do it because you ain't never got to do nothing in my classroom, right? So like if ever I need, a kid got sick or something like that, I'm like, hey, I need you to clean this one up for me. I can't do this one, right? Then they right there, like, hey, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it, right? But like, I just feel like a lot of times we don't really talk about the basic manners that should exist in terms of like kids cleaning up after themselves, because there's lessons in that, right? There's lessons in you being able to clean up behind yourself. There's lessons in you showing respect for the people that do come in and clean up behind you, right? Because I feel like a lot of times this becomes like an expectation. Like, I expect you to clean up for me, right? It's like that level of privilege that some of these kids have. And bro, that's not how we living. That's what we doing at Riverhead Charter School. No, sir. Mm-mm.
But like you said, you grabbed that broom and got the sweep. And I mean, that's true leadership right there. You ain't looking for no recognition about like that. It was like, with us with the first day of school, we were short of cafeteria work. And I'm like, hey, I'll throw some gloves in their hair and then get back there and serve kids food, because it got to get done. We ain't doing it for recognition. It's all about what do we need to do to make sure kids are getting what they need in order to have a successful day at school, no matter if that's in the classroom, in the hallway, the cafeteria, no matter where it's at. And that's true leadership, instead of, oh, let me go find somebody to do that for you. No, I got it. Don't even worry about it.
Nah. Yeah. And everybody's paying attention to what we're doing. And I do the same thing. I pick up the trash when I see it and things like that. And folks pay attention. Like, I don't even say anything. Like, when they see me doing it, like, there's no excuse. Like, if I can do it, you can do it too. And I think, Ray, you hit on that. I think you got to take care of your community. You got to see this as us and ownership. We got to get away from that, entitlement. This is someone else's job. No, it's your job to take care of our place, of our school, of our classroom. So yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. Listen, my high school staff, they just got a brand new building. Shout out to them. If I got high school staff listening right now. And my first speech to them was like, I'm handing this building over to y'all brand new. It needs to stay the same way that I'm handing it to y'all, right? And so for me, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the broken windows theory.
Mm-hmm.
And so very familiar with broken windows theory, right? And so what I'll do if I go in and I see a mark, I'm like, hey, I'll go get one of those Mr. Clean Johns or whatever, the eraser Johns, and like, make sure that mark. Because listen, these kids see that mark, then next thing you know, you got another kid, make another mark, then another mark, then another mark, and then next thing you know, you got a mirror you ain't want.
Right. Well, so Doc hit on his cafeteria team.
I love that.
I want to give a shout out to mine at the middle school, because we were tight. Miss A, our child nutrition lead, she was amazing. Like, we had a really good relationship. I think,
Wait, hold on, ball. I'm gonna let you finish. Right?
Okay.
But you just said something that triggered me, right? It just made me think about when you got money, right? right? He said my child nutrition lead. Smitty, you hear him?
Hey,
I wasn't gonna say that. I got a cafeteria manager.
hey,
Hey, they do things different in Cali.
tomato,
Things different.
tomato.
All right, Bob. Go
Hey,
ahead.
So shout out to Miss A. She, I made it one of my, one of your responsibilities as a leader is to tap into those folks that are key to the operations, child nutrition, your office manager, your lead custodian. I think, so I built a real strong relationship, went in there, made sure she had what she needed. If there were things that weren't working right, I'm on the phone with maintenance and things like that. So, I looked out for her. And so she was always looking out, for me. Because, the bottom line is if she has what she needs and I work hard for that, she's going to provide the students with the service that they need, the lunches and all those things. And she's got the eyes too. Like she knows, this student needs a little bit more extra. Mr. Ball can the admin team kind of talk to this student because we need help here in keeping things together. So, shout out to Ms. A. I miss her, and I'm still learning our team here at the high school. But we've got, we're feeding 1,000 kids a day, and we've got a team of 6 that's doing it. So, they're carrying a heavy load, and we're making it happen. So I appreciate, my cafeteria staff led by Miss Eileen here at Cal High.
That's what's up. Hey, Smitty, we got to get out there, man.
Come on.
Hey, we can go. I'm not a fan of Cali, but we can go visit.
All good. Come visit.
Hey,
come through.
Hey, let's roll up in the closing thoughts, man. We said we weren't gonna take up too much space tonight. So Smitty, start with you, man.
I'm gonna do my closing thought last because it's a real serious topic. So I'm gonna go last.
Okay.
If you don't mind, sir.
Ball, sir.
I'm gonna just say, as always, I'm so thankful for this show. I know I got some peeps out there listening and things like that. We got some exciting news that's coming on Friday, so be looking out on Twitter. An announcement that's really, really, really important. The legacy that we leave is really important. So appreciate everybody listening and tuning in. Peace.
Wait, this Friday right here?
What's that?
This Friday right here coming up?
This Friday right here. This Friday right here.
Sir. Look in the chat. Look in the private chat. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, bet. Yeah, let's see how it's be coming together, baby. All right, my final thoughts. So my final thoughts for the night is that school support staff is extremely important, right? They oftentimes don't get the acknowledgement. So for us to be able to do a whole show about the school support staff, I feel very good about this show, right? So shout out to the folks that are the wheels on the bus that make that bus go around. We appreciate you every day coming in, giving your all. May not get the same accolades as a teacher receives, but it depends on who the leadership is, right? Because like I look at my support staff and I hold them on the same level of esteem as I hold teachers, right? So shout out to support staff for everything that you guys do day in and day out. I appreciate y'all. One love.
Smitty, before you go, I forgot one thing. So speaking of shouting out the support staff, shout out to my office manager, Sylvia Panawaga Looney. Today is her birthday. We celebrated her. She's amazing. She is the glue that's keeping things together at this Cal High ship. So we really appreciate her. Thanks, Doc.
Happy birthday to her. So I'm gonna get to my closing thought, but before I get to my closing thought, I gotta definitely shout out my new admin assistant, Miss Crowfoot. Miss Woodruff moved on to go do bigger and better things with the skills that I taught her. But my new one has came in and hit the ground running. So shout out to her. My closing thought is, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this, but we had an incident happen in a local school district at a high school here in the Kansas City area. I'm not going to call the name because I don't want to bring more negative publicity to it. But there was a serious, almost a melee fight, brawl, whatever you want to call it, that took place with some students and parents in the school. And when I got the information, my heart just kind of broke because people are trying to attack the principal of that school, basically trying to act like he doesn't have control of his school. And you have the point where you have parents come into your building trying to fight students. That's not a school issue. That's a community issue. there are more people to blame than just that principal of that building for that broken community. So, my final thought is, as a school community, when we need help, we can't just look at the principal. Of course, the principal is the figurehead, but I mean, there's community leaders and people that can also assist in healing a community, especially after what took place at the school yesterday. I just want that principal to know I'm praying for you, man. I know it's a difficult situation to be in with what took place at your building, but definitely, I don't feel like you are to blame. That is definitely a community situation that needs to be dealt with, not just by you, but by the mayor, city council, and the community leaders in your area as well. So definitely, look out for your community, no matter what community, school community you're in. We get the praise, but we also get the heat when it's our school in the news for negative things. But I just want you to know, I know as a principal who's sitting in the same seat, what happened at your building is directly not your fault. So
that's what's up, man. I appreciate that. So, folks, you have been listening to another episode of the Engage Podcast. We will see you in 2 weeks. And I'm so happy and filled at the fact that we were able to do a show on support staff. So we'll see you guys soon. Peace and love and happiness.